Now, you probably heard the saying, good artists copy, great ones steal. I'm going to show you how to become great today. In other words, stop being a consumer. Learn to extract what you watch and try to replicate that. Because think about it, all the best looks are already out there, right? So all you have to do is recreate them and throw your flair on top of it. So many amateurs that I know or beginners that I know make that mistake day in and day out. They try to reinvent the wheel. That's not the problem. The wheel is already invented. All you have to do is take that and try to figure out a way to either make it better or just different. And before we jump into it, anyone that's struggling with, say, shot matching, how to bring stuff in and out of Resolve, or nailing the skin tones, I have a free workshop that can help you with all of that and then some. Check out the link is in the description. And on that note, let's roll the intro. So the best thing ever happened about 6 days ago. They dropped John Wick Chapter 4 trailer, and I absolutely loved every second of it. So I went ahead and watched it, and I'm like, this is amazing. Can't wait for the movie to come out. And usually people just stop at that, right? Or maybe they'll share it on their Instagram. But what I do usually when I watch something that is visually very appealing, I do this. I bring it in Resolve, and we can grab this, like the entire clip, and then bring it into our timeline. And now it's one long take in our timeline. So what do we do with that? The next step that I would do is I would go under my timeline and I would do detect scene cuts. Resolve is going to use its AI to start placing cuts at every cut in the trailer. You will need the studio version of Resolve to do that. If you have the free version, this won't happen. Okay? Because this is part of their neural engine technology, which is only included in the studio version. So now, if I were to come into my color page, all the cuts are placed, and each shot is just like if you were to get a project to grade it, right? So it's like all cut up nicely. So basically now we're ready to analyze all these clips and see what's happening. What makes these shots the way they look? And the answer lies right here in your scopes, okay? You can tell a lot just by looking at the scope. So, for instance, if we look at this scene, right? And if I pause it right here, let's just say this is our hero frame. Just look at how warm this image is. So if you're watching it on your TV or something like that without the scopes, it's really hard to put it in context where the saturation is sitting, where everything is sitting on the vector scope, where everything is sitting on the parade. But here, this just makes it binary, right? Like it's black and white. Like we're just seeing what's happening here. So in this case, I look at my vector scope and I go, everything is sitting on this warm quadrant, right? Like top left. So I see that and it translates. It makes sense. And then I look at my where my shadows are and highlights, and this gets to tell us a lot right here. So look at it. Our blues are all the way down here, but then they're cut from the top. They're pulled down quite a bit. That's where the warmth is coming from, right? Because if I were to go in my in my primaries right here, and I just take my gain and I start pulling up the blue, right? Like if I just start pulling this up like that and do something like this, if I do before and after, you can see right here that we're bringing back that blue, right? Like, I mean, just look at this area right here from here to this, like we're changing that, but we're also changing the magic, right? Like it's not the same, like this warm tone with this like very modern spin on orange and teal, right? So that's what's going on here. But we wouldn't have known that, again, if we were watching it on TV. So this gets to tell us so much about that and how and where everything is sitting. Majority of the scene sits right here. You see it, right? Like right here. This is where majority of the scene is sitting. So if I hover over here, if you click on these three dots and turn on display qualifier focus, then when you hover over on the screen, it will show you that on your scopes, as you can see right now. So you can see everything, majority of my scene sits in this area right here, okay, minus the candles, right? Like, look at that. All of those are sitting far up there, right? Or even this area is sitting a little bit higher. So it is, by nature, is a dark scene, candle lit, right? Supposed to be. And then we have like really, really saturated yellows. I mean, just look at how much saturation is in his skin. Like this is pretty high. So this is the skin indicator right here, this line right there, where you can click right here and then click on show skin indicator. So that's what's happening right now. And if I hover over, just look at how much saturation is in the skin. Because like if I were to pull this down, like, and just show you kind of like the normally the what's the cinematic norm where the saturation should be sitting, it would be somewhere around here, okay? Or even less than that. But this is where we are. Once again, that's the magic. And this is, again, one of those secrets, right? You will never in a million years push your looks as much as this is pushed unless you're looking at the scopes and seeing what's happening. You just won't do it because it's always going to be like, oh man, this is too much. Like, let me pull it back. Let's keep moving forward. Let's look at this, what's happening. Okay? The detail in the windows is gone. You know, this is Hollywood. Don't you think that they can do, they can have their visual effects department go in there and just put the most beautiful clouds and give us some detail in there? No, that's not necessary. And that's another permission that you get when you look at the best of the best work that's out there, right? And that's what I mean. Like, why reinvent the wheel when somebody's already doing the best and putting the best work out there? Let's just go out there, study it, learn from it, and then understand what we can and can't do and not spend so much time on doing things that don't even matter, right? So now I'm looking at this. One thing that you will notice through and through is that not only, so this is the same scene, so you can say, well, that's why all the colors are looking the way they are. But even if I take you to a completely different scene like this, from the church scene, you will still see similarities, okay? Like watch where the yellows are sitting. They're exactly in the same spot where the yellows are sitting here, okay? So that is one of the things that you need to understand. Like when you're building a look DNA, it still has to somehow tie in. It depends, right? Like, I mean, if the colors are going to be completely complementary and they're going to switch up, you can't bring in the other colors. Like I can't just grab his skin or something and just pull it and get the yellow out of him. He's in a completely different environment, or like say a shot like this. So of course it's going to be different, but you just have to understand. Like, so this is an exterior shot, right? But look how well it matches with these. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I mean, they have to bring it in, whether it's like semi-interior, interior, exterior. Like if it's within the same scene, within the same world, you're going to find some similarities that you have to nail in order to like sell the look if you're going for a really pushed look. So again, if we see something like that, do you see any information in his shirt? Completely gone. Okay. And I love showing you guys these things because I feel like so many people get caught in like when I go from a Rec 709 to a look, people just freak out and they go, yo, Qazi, we lost all the detail. Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. We never got to see the Rec 709 for John Wick, right? So we just bought it. We accept it. We see this and we go, this is so stylized. I love it. I bet you in log, everything was protected. Then in Rec 709, everything was protected. In grade, Jill Bogdanovich, a friend and one of my all-time favorite colorists, went ahead and made that choice, you know, after getting the blessing from the DP and the director to push the look this far, because that's what serves this story and, you know, falls in that super awesome action genre. And that's what's happening here, right? So we buy it, we watch it, and we don't care what color his tie is or what's going on over here. Why can't we see anything? Because what we need to see is right here in his, you know, eyes. And, you know, we have to focus on his face, and that's exactly what's happening. The vignette is really heavy too on here, right? Like it's just leading you to look right here. So like reshaping light. These are the things that we're learning when we're looking at the best work that's out there. And that's what I mean by like, how much can you push your reds? What are these deep reds, right? Like the reds are not going all the way in the middle. If you look at it, they're leaning a little bit toward like magenta, just a smidge, just a touch. And that's what gives it even a more of like a Nike, like vibrant red, right? And that's how they're getting that. So these are the things that would be really hard for you to just stumble upon. And then when you watch it here and you see what's happening, you can go, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Look at the complementary scheme that's happening, right? Like there's a nice little cyan happening here. and then red over there, and we can see like this complementary scheme right here, because it could be really easy to just go under here and pull out like that color, right? I can even click right here and then just go in, and if I were to pull that down, let's see what happens, right? So if I do before and after, right, like we're kind of pulling that out. Obviously the image is compressed, so it's going to break apart, but you get the idea. Like we're trying to pull back from that saturation, again, taking away that juice that makes this look what it is. Or once again, if I go under saturation and pull it down and just trying to keep it kosher, you know, what the norm is and like what is proper, it would look like this, and it wouldn't be John Wick, right? And that's why it's so important to look at these. And the next step is to not only just look at them, do something that I called play the what if game. Okay. And that is what's really going to get your brain going. Okay. So the what if game is this. Like if I'm looking at this shot right here, and if I'm here and I'm going, okay, I see where it is. Like I look at the vector scope and I like this. What if this is like a cold winter morning somewhere, right? Instead of like this warm, like almost looks like he's in Dubai or something like that, right? Like they're trying to create, like, I mean, I don't know. But just by looking at that, I'm thinking like, you know, maybe he is somewhere in like Middle East or something like that, right? So what if we try to change that? What I can do a couple of different things. I can go in my highlights or in my gain, and I can just pull this down, right? And I can just like really, really cool this off. And if I were to cool this off and do before and after, all of a sudden you see the back, right? We went from Middle East to like England. You know what I mean? Like just like that. We're now we're in London, right? We can even make it cooler, something like that. And you know, we just went from Middle East to like London, just like that. And that's the beauty of color grading, right? Like that, it's that easy for you to like transform and put people in a different environment, whether it's weather or a completely different period, like, you know, period piece, like it could be from the 70s, 80s, or futuristic, right? We can do those things. If we want to be a little bit more subtle than what I did, then I will go under my offsets and move the entire thing over. So it's not just the highlights, it's the whole thing that we just drag down and we create like that kind of thing, right? So like we just pulled out all of those warm tones and replaced them for these cooler tones. And now my blues are really lifted, so I can just go in my log and I can just pull that down, right? So like I'm not even looking at my screen right now. I was just looking at my parade, and I just pulled that down. So now my blacks are proper, and we created a completely different look, a more subtle look than when I used the gain. But that's the beauty of color grading, right? Like that's why I love it so much, that every single tool will get you to a similar result, but in a completely different way. We want to steal from the best, but then we want to throw our own flair on it and make it ours, right? Whether you think about sports, you know, the new soccer players are their role models are Mbappe's role model is Ronaldo, right? So he looked up Ronaldo and wanted to be like him. Even his jersey is like number 7. So he wanted to be like Ronaldo. We can't now just say, well, he just copied Ronaldo. He's not original. He's a fake. He's, you know, he's himself. He is a living being. He's not fake. He just modeled himself to, you know, to the best of the best, and then became the best, right? Embodied that, like those traits, and then actually ended up being the best. And then Mbappe is Mbappe. Nobody calls him Ronaldo Jr. And that's the concept that you gotta get through your head, because I feel like a lot of people make that mistake. And I keep saying that because it is that important. So let's move on to some of these shots. So obviously we look at this shot and we know that this is a pretty good example of like some key action happening here. So she probably went in and pulled the key to get their skin tones looking proper, and then have everything shifted toward that cyan. So like, look at that world that she created, right? Like it's absolutely stunning. One of my favorite shots in the entire thing, because again, you know, they're in New York. It's so cold. I already know they're in New York, right? I don't need anything else. Like, yes, I see a few buildings, but these buildings could be anywhere. You know, this could be freaking Seattle, but I'm just looking at it and I just know that they're in New York because of that palette that she chose. That's the power of color grading. And you wouldn't know it until you study it, you break it down, and you bring it in here. What makes this, this is not blue, this is more cyan, right? So we see like what makes it more cyan. Well, an excess of green. So there's more green than blue up top, and then there's blue, and then the red is pulled down, right? So that's what's giving it this feel that we're getting. But once again, if I go under my gain, and if I start adding, more of this, right? We completely changed it. Now we could be in Hong Kong, right? Like that. Like just you saw it, how fast it happened, and now we're somewhere else, right? And that's so powerful. You wouldn't know it until you read the scopes and see what's happening. And it was really easy for me to go there. And I knew that I wasn't like breaking anything because I just have studied enough material and built my own library to just know that where I'm putting everything is okay, because in the movie Her, that's where the reds were sitting and that's where the greens were sitting. So now I'm just taking it there without even referencing it. Like I said, if I'm taking it there, this is more like Her. That's the sort of like world I'm creating because I just have it stored in my head now. So if you were to start studying it just like how I'm showing you, same thing is going to happen. You're going to start creating these beautiful looks with your footage, with your flair, but still create these like universal truths, if you will. Like I said, I looked at it and I knew it was New York. How? I don't know. Yeah, I just knew. You know what I mean? Look at how pushed the blacks are. The shadows in the theme of this movie, they're pushed to hell. And I love it. I love it because that just gives me the sense of like, it's an action, like something is happening, like that kind of shoot 'em up, film that I'm watching. Another great example is this scene. It just looks so regal, so pretty, beautiful. And just the gold tones that Jill uses complementing with cyan is just some of the best like content I've seen online. Like the way she does it and so clean, it's truly magical. Okay, and that's what's happening here. Now, if I were to go hue versus hue, right? Grab my yellows and I pull it up and I just make it a little bit more, red than say that yellow. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not that gold, right? That's going with that cyan. I just changed the entire DNA. And I don't like it as much as I like this, right? Once again, look at where the colors are sitting, how saturated this is. If we go back and if we pull the saturation to something like that, it's not the same. We took out the impact, okay? Does that mean everything needs to be crazy saturated? Absolutely not. Tom Poole is another amazing colorist and also a friend that I very much look up to and the kind of work that he's done. And his approach is very different than Jill. It's not so saturated and contrasty, yet it's not less attractive than what Jill does. Two completely different styles. They still both hold their own. And that's why it's so important to find your style. And obviously you want to be malleable so you can change it up. And like, this is not the only thing that Jill does. I mean, she does like a low con Vogue looks and she does this and everything in between. But, first learn one thing, master it, then move on to the next thing, right? And this is the best way to do it. Let's look at a few more frames and then we're going to move on to the next step of like this entire process. So gorgeous, right? Just look at it where everything is sitting. It's bright and I love that, right? Like, I mean, just look at this, how gorgeous this is. And once again, sticking to the theme, those yellows. So you'll see Jill graded Joker, right? And in Joker, we saw that, the yellows were not yellows. They were more toward like that red. And that's because Lawrence Sher, who was the DP, he loves that color. So then she went in that direction. But in this movie, it's like she's playing with yellows a lot. And I love it. It's very different. Like, look at this shot, right? And it goes so well with like this crazy cyan. I mean, just look at the waveform, how it's split beautifully, like just perfectly like split complementary. Like I'm kind of jazzed up and I want to do a tutorial on this. I feel like it would be really cool. Like I've done very many different variations of orange and teal, but I don't really think I've done anything like this. I feel like this is unique and it's very modern. Like this is what's happening today in the world of like orange and teal looks. So if you guys are interested in something like that, let me know in the comments and we'll cook something up. This is very, very pretty. Look at the saturation, guys. Look at how unapologetic her work is. Again, the contrast is just so pushed, yet it doesn't come at a cost of skin tones. Look how beautiful and pretty the skin is, right? And that's, yes, makeup has something to do with it and all those things, but trust me, when you start grading and when you start doing a crazy push and pull, you can crack some skin tones very easily, just like that. And that's one of the hardest things when it comes to grading, to keep the skin tones like pretty and like, you know what I mean? Like the skin tones, like she's pushing the hell out of the entire image, yet it's not like, his skin is dirty. And you get what I'm saying. When you push the contrast too much, the skin starts to get dirty. The circles become a lot darker, that kind of thing, right? So we don't see that here. Um, let's just completely switch to a different sort of vibe here. Uh, I hate just like throwing a crazy blanket and calling it like something else, but it does kind of give me Mad Max vibes here because it's just so pushed and unapologetic, yet it's really funny how Jill works. Like, this is the area where she does let it breathe. And like, if you look at the contrast, like there is a little bit of room down here, right at the bottom, and we get to see a bit more at the bottom, and that's just to me is a very interesting choice. Like, usually during the day scenes, they could be crushed, and for a right reason because the light could be pretty harsh, but she chooses to kind of let it breathe, and I like that. Another reason could be because he's in all black with on a black horse, so like we want to see something of our hero and don't want him to completely get lost in detail, so that's what's going on. Beautiful vibe here again, love it. Colors are pushed, and then a complete opposite, right? So this is sort of like the probably the most desaturated part of the entire trailer that I saw, and I love it. Cool vibes. Again, they're in Paris. They set it up beautifully, and we get that, right? Like, I'm buying it. And again, if we were to swing this and turn it something super warm, it won't be the same. So this is more like the similar theme that we noticed in the beginning, but this time she's playing more on a different complementary color scheme, right? So like it's more red and teal. Back to the yellow, beautiful. Like, look how pushed it is. Absolutely love it because you still get to see what you want to see, and then the rest just kind of fades away. Um, Absolutely gorgeous shot. Like, almost looks like a cologne commercial, but in the best form possible. Like, it just looks so pretty. Um, Love this. Club scenes or wherever they are fighting. This is great. I absolutely really like, again, the similar yellow and teal action that's going on throughout. Um, and then let's keep going. This sequence is pretty cool too. You got to make sure that when you're pushing your images this far, you still want to keep the focus right here. And I can tell that there is a window like this and then feathered out, and then everything on the outside is pulled down. Like, I can see it clearly, right? Like, even the intensity on these lights goes down a little bit, right? Like on the edges, and then these are bright because we want to keep the focus right here, right? Like what's happening. And that's what we're seeing. And this is how the magic is done. Like, you always want to pull it down from the sides just enough. You don't want to do it too much where it looks fake. But it's happening here too, right? Like, this gets darker, and then the focus is right here. So eyes stay where they're supposed to be. So overall, what I would do once I go through and play the what if game once again, like, see, looking at a scene like that, where's the skin tone sitting? That's one thing that we didn't really talk about throughout the thing. Like, people are just like, oh, the skin tones need to be nailed no matter what. Like, even in RGB lighting, that's ludicrous. That'll never happen. I mean, let me just show you his skin tone. Look at where the skin tone is sitting. Like, look at this. That's not a proper skin tone. That's not where it's supposed to be. But it doesn't matter. Like, he's in a street light outside. Like, take a picture from your phone and look at where your skin is sitting, because it's going to respond to like that lighting condition, right? Like, it's not always going to be properly like, oh, sitting on the skin indicator. Like, even if I look at something like this, obviously there's not a lot of saturation in the image. So this one will say like, is sitting properly like where it's supposed to be. But if I were to go in again and just kind of grab my gain and try to add some warmth, and like, give them a little bit more skin juice. So like something like that, right? Like we just added basically a little bit more. So we went from this cold treatment to like just giving him a little bit more in his skin tones. Um, the what if game is so amazing because this is where the flare part comes in. So you can create something like that after looking at it. Now I just know that, okay, images can be pushed that far, right? So once I have an idea, what I can do is this. Let's just go back really quick and let's just say I'm looking at this and I pause it on this frame right here. Okay, so I like this frame. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to call this, usually what I do is this. I will create a power grade and I will call it John Wick. Okay, let's just do that. Why power grade album? Power grade album stays on throughout all your projects within that database. So that's the beauty of it. When you move on to the next project, all these are going to be available. The still albums are only limited to your project that you're working in. So if I right click and I say grab that still is saved now. Okay. So let's just grab a few more stills. So let's say I go here and I say grab this still and it's going to save it here. Let's pick out a few more. So let's just do a variety. So we have a bunch of different stuff. I like that. Let's grab that. And I love this. It's almost like what I'm thinking, like, let me just give you my thought process is like New York, Middle East, indoor orange and teal, red and cyan. That's how my brain is working right now. Okay. Absolutely love like this sort of regal look, right? Like with a little hint of like cyan, but mostly driven by this gold yellow. Or yellow gold. Absolutely love it. This is just a stunner. So I'm going to grab it from both angles. I love that, how far it's pushed. Tons of teal like in my midtones and shadows. Beautiful yellows in my highlights. Tastefully done. And then I'm just going to go like, I really love the saturation in the skin tones and how smooth the skin was. So I'm going to grab that. Great orange and teal example. I really like how pushed this was, yet still like the bottom was breathing. So I like that part. So I'm going to grab that. I like this cold, but sort of like a clean look. Like if we look at it here, it's not over the top cold. It's just like mostly clean. But she's playing off of like that whole cold theme that she's creating even in New York. So the greens are higher and then the blues and then the reds. As I mentioned earlier in the video that, you have to kind of stick with like the DNA that you create through and through. Absolutely love this. Like very, very pushed, very stylized. Could be a project that I'm working on where I have to create something like that. So it will come in handy. If I'm doing a street scene, something is happening outside and that could be one of the lookbooks, looks that I can cook up and then just like show it to my director, my DP, and ask for their feedback or what they think. Absolutely gorgeous, right? Like, I mean, if I'm working on a car commercial or something like that, this just kind of gives me that vibe. Like, it just has the perfect blend of like cyan and then like these warm tones, but they're not over the top. Night scenes with cars outside, this would be a good example to where to put everything, right? Like in terms of like the overall exposure of the road and then what to do with the lights and things like that. So that's pretty cool. Let's just say like, a shot where we do have a lot of light in the scene and it's lit with RGB lighting. How far can we push it? And then what do we do with our shadows? So this would be a great example of that, right? Where we can put our scenes. So now this is permanently saved. I started to build my library of looks now. Okay. So then anytime you're working on a shot that might be an exterior shot in New York or Paris or somewhere cold, you can go in, Command W and pull that up. And you can move it around. You can pull it up. Let's just say the shot behind it is yours. And then you can just drop this shot, pull it next to it, and then see, hey, where are my colors? Where do I need to go, right? Like if I'm looking at the two, I don't know, let's just say even in this example, and I'm going, I'm a little too blue. And first of all, there's too much saturation. So I'm going to pull the saturation down a little bit, right? And now what do I want to do? So I want to keep going down, and I want to pull it over somewhere, something like this, right? And I'm getting pretty close. I'm going to keep going in that direction. So like this was before, this is after. And this starts to give you a little bit of like sense of what I'm talking about when I say grab something that you see and then make it yours. So this is like an example for that, right? And that's why it is so powerful to follow that process, and so many people sleep on it. I feel like I've put on some videos about that in the past, but I feel like I never really put enough emphasis on it for you to understand or gave you the entire game plan. I feel like sometimes that's important to do a whole the full bow tie, right? Like start to finish, and kind of show how I would use it and justify each decision for it to kind of hit different. And I hope that's what happened with this tutorial here. At this point, your only obstacle is your mindset. Get out of your way, put in the hours, and the results you're going to achieve are going to be beyond your expectations. All that said, if you're still struggling with the basics, the foundations that you need to start hitting home runs, then my free workshop is basically tailor-made for you. You have to check it out. It's going to just launch you on this path of becoming a colorist or making really pretty images. So link is in the description. Check it out. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesomeness, hit the bell icon if you haven't already. Your views and your support means everything, and that's what helps keep me putting out videos. So thank you. And on that note, I will see you guys in the next video.